All right, let's go ahead and get going here. I'm Ryan alongside Joel.
Right.
Michigan Storm Chasers here. We're going to have a briefing of the severe event today. I get an echo, Joel, on your end.
All right, let me mute.
Cool. We have some updates to go over and some timing as well. So go ahead and shout out in chat here where you guys are watching from. Let's go ahead and get this party started. Pop out the chat here so I can see what you guys are saying. There we go. We are good to rock and roll here. So if you're just tuning in, we do have a couple updates. Number one is the SPC has brought the enhanced risk further north. They're in orange. It goes up to about the Lansing area to Kalamazoo, back down through Benton Harbor, all the way up just south of Port Huron. So it was just barely in the state last night, just across the Indiana-Ohio border. Now it's brought up to about the 96 corridor there from Lansing to Flint to Port Huron areas. So that is going to become a concern here. The slight risk goes up pretty much to about Mount Pleasant, over toward about Muskegon, over into the Port Austin area. And then further north in dark green, that's going to be your lowest marginal risk, about to Roscommon, and then point southward there. So that's going to be your risk area today. They did expand the higher probabilities. Let's go ahead and dive into what the hazards are in order from most concerning to least concerning. So we're going to start with damaging winds. Yes, that is your number one priority here. Across the enhanced risk area, it is a 30 to 44% chance of a damaging wind gust within a 25-mile point. This is the SPC. This is not our forecast. This is just from the direct source from the government agency. All right. Just south of the border, though, in Indiana and Ohio, there's a pink zone there. That is for a probability of 45 to 59% severe winds. So it's literally just sitting off to our south there. But we go further north, though, the risk does kind of taper off. The further north you go, the lower the risk becomes. So they're in yellow. That's your slight risk. 15 to 29% of a damaging wind gust within a 25-mile point of any location. And then the lowest probability is 5 to 14% up there in that brownish red color just north of Mount Pleasant, between Mount Pleasant and Roscommon. So the threat is lowest, or the threat is lower the further north you go. So that's going to be your main concern, damaging winds up to around 60, perhaps 70 miles per hour. There is no hatched area from the SPC, although I would not be shocked to see a couple of wind gusts above 60 miles per hour today. I think Joel's going to reflect that in our outlook here, which will be posted later this morning. Second risk to be concerned about today, large hail. There is a 15 to 29% chance of a large hailstone, 1 inch or a quarter size or larger here across the southern and central part of Michigan there, from Grand Rapids to Alma to Saginaw, southward to the Ohio-Indiana border there. Further north, though, in that brown-red color, that is a lower probability, but it is still a risk nonetheless. All right. The third and final concern is a couple tornadoes. Yes, tornadoes. They're in the green color from about Grand Rapids to Mount Pleasant to the Tri-Cities through the thumb, all the way down south. You're going to notice further south you go, the bottom tier counties, so Monroe, Lenawee, Hillsdale, Branch, St. Joseph, Cass, and Berrien, are all within a 5%, a little bit higher probability of a couple tornadoes being possible. All right, so all hazards really possible today: wind, hail, tornadoes, in that order across the state, especially south and central portions of lower Michigan. Let's go ahead and take a peek at what the models are going to talk about. So this is your forecasted radar through the day today, starting at 8 a.m., which we're already past that. It's 9:39 current time here. Let's go ahead and bump this bad boy up to 10 o'clock. So we have some showers, perhaps a rumble of thunder across the state this morning. That is not going to become a concern. We do have concern, though, starting early to mid-afternoon here. We're going to look at this model here at noon. We already have storms supposedly ongoing across portions of western Michigan. This is Muskegon, Grand Rapids area. That is not the main show. It is possible we could get a severe storm out of that, but it is not the main concern. So we could have storms as early as 11 or 12 o'clock today. Would not be shocked we have a severe storm or two. The main concern, though, we're going to watch is coming in later today. Here is 4 o'clock this afternoon here. We're looking to our west and to our south. A line of storms develops across Illinois, Lake Michigan, and they'll push across the lake and enter Michigan here right about that 4 to 5 o'clock time frame for the western side of Michigan. That is the main concern here. The models did uptrend overnight. Does show a very we're going to say the heckin' chonker of a line, some people like to call it. So it's going to be a pretty nasty looking squall line here. We'll break it down just a second, but it's going to push across the state here. This is at 7 o'clock now. Here's 8 o'clock, all the way across the lower part of Michigan. It'll clear the state by roughly 9 or 10 p.m. So main time frames as early as 12, but the main line will arrive probably 3 to 4 p.m. a little bit after that, perhaps, and it should clear the state by roughly 10 or so p.m. So main center time frame for severe today, 3 p.m., 10 p.m., 3 p.m. on the west side, 10 p.m. on the east side. That is your early and your latest time frames. All right. Backing this up here, this is a pretty decent looking squall line that does push across the state. So what are we concerned about with that? Well, damaging winds is number one. With these squall lines we talked about last night, if we have a line of storms, the wind threat becomes a little bit higher. And I think that's being reflected here on the latest model outlook here from the SPC. I think that's pretty well placed with this line here that we're kind of seeing. So we're not seeing individual cells. So the tornado risk overall is kind of low. But with these lines as well, we did see a little bit of an increase with our wind shear overnight. Not a huge increase, but enough to kind of warrant the mention that we could see a couple of spin up tornadoes within this line. It's not a huge concern, but with these lines, they're called QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. They basically is a fancy term for a lot of wind, some hail involved. Probably going to have some spin up tornadoes with this as well. So I do expect there to be at least a few chances of tornadoes today. It's not going to be an outbreak by any means, or at least it shouldn't be an outbreak by any means, but I do think there's a shot we could see some spin up tornadoes within this line. But damaging winds is your main concern, followed by large hail. I will say as well, before I do hop out of here, the large hail threat with this line should be on the lower end of the spectrum, just because lines versus isolated cells, they don't really do as good of a job as producing large hailstones. Not going to say it's impossible, but if we had isolated cells, that's where your hail threat's going to be today versus a main line. All right. Now let's talk about our ingredients here. Why are we talking about severe weather? We talk about SLIM a lot. We're going to go over everything in detail here. We do have the shear today. We're going to see those storms are within a very highly sheared environment across the southern part of Michigan. It's going to be no problem as these storms race to the east this afternoon. Shear will be in abundance. It's the type of shear that matters. For tornadoes, we want to see shear that changes direction with height. This, we're seeing it kind of change a little bit, but not too much, which is why we're not overly concerned for that tornadic risk. Most of the shear is going in one direction. It's called unidirectional wind shear. That would support damaging wind as your primary concern. If we saw more turning, that would be more so concerning for tornadoes, but we're not really seeing that too much in detail this morning. So the wind shear is supportive of damaging winds and perhaps a brief tornado or two spinning up within that line. So shear, no problem today. Let's talk about our instability. The instability today is going to be a big factor. We're going to watch it very closely. Across the state here, we're going to see modeled between 1,000 and 2,000 joules. That is more than sufficient with these spring type systems. We could see as little as 500 joules get the job done. We have double to triple, perhaps even more of that across southern portions of the state. So 1,000, 2,000 joules. We're going to watch that very closely to see how that actually evolves. This is, again, just a model. Real-time data is going to be king today. We're going to be watching the mesoanalysis page very, very closely to see what's coming together and what's not coming together. So instability is not supposed to be a factor. Also, our moisture, we're looking at dew points in the low to mid 60s today, and that is more than sufficient to produce severe weather as well with springtime systems. We can get severe weather with as little as 55-degree dew points. We're going to have low 60s today. So it's going to be a very moist, very humid atmosphere out there today. It may feel like a perhaps borderline summer-like day, but it's going to feel like classic spring. Depending on how warm we can get across the state. You're going to walk outside. You're going to be smelling the air. It's going to be like, yep, that smells like spring. It's going to be one of those days out there across lower Michigan. So that is going to be your ingredients. All four coming together: shear, lift, instability, moisture, to produce a severe weather concern. And for those who just tuning in, again, SPC did upgrade the risk to enhanced across the 94 and almost 96 corridor there in orange. and that slight risk does go up to about the Mount Pleasant and Tri-City areas now as well. So all hazards possible, wind, hail, tornadoes in that order is least concern or most concerning to least concerning. Time frame 3 p.m. in the west, 10 p.m. in the east. All right, that is your overview. And I will say as well, we do have a secondary severe risk we're not going to go into too much detail on, but I will highlight this because it is very important. The SPC, which are the people who issue these forecasts, they're a government agency based out of Oklahoma. They do a really great job. They do have most of Lower Michigan in a slight risk for Wednesday, and there are already portions of Southern Michigan in a enhanced risk. This is, again, 4 days out. This is not anytime soon. This is going to be a Wednesday. But the wording the SPC is using here does mention the possibility of an outbreak. So I want to highlight that. That's all we're going to say about it. We're not going to go into detail. We're going to let the system pass through, and then we're going to focus on sorting out Wednesday. But I'd be doing you guys a disfavor if I did not mention potential for another round of perhaps significant severe weather incoming for Wednesday. Keep it on your radars. A lot can change. Let's hope it downtrends. But in the event it does not, another severe threat possible for Wednesday. That is all I'm going to say about Wednesday. Let's focus on today first. All right. Questions? Go ahead and pop out the chat here, enlarge it. I do believe we had some super chats come in here. I see East with a super chat, $10. Thank you, East. Says thanks for the update. That is no problem. Appreciate your support there of the channel. We'll have chasers going out today, myself included. I'll be out. We have Chandler, Alex, as well as a few of our partners. I believe we have Trisha going out. We have Brandon. And is there any more, Joel? I feel like I'm missing a couple.
Mike, maybe. And
Okay.
not our Nick, but the other Nick.
Okay, yep, Nick. We have many Nicks on the team. Not Nick will be on Nick. MSC Nick will be with Joel today on stream here. We also have a couple Nicks in our partners who will be out chasing today. So for operations today, yes, we will be live later in anticipation of severe weather. Joel has you covered here alongside Nick. I'll be in the field chasing tentatively, I guess is the word I'm going to use. But we'll have you guys covered here in Michigan for any severe threat. We'll be live at the first warning, if not before that. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the zoomed in look at that enhanced risk. I see a lot of people asking if they're in the enhanced risk. So let me get a map up here that's a little bit more zoomed in for you guys on these locations. It's not going to have every single location, but it should be enough to kind of give you guys a zoomed in look. There we go. So that is your enhanced risk across Michigan. So places like Benton Harbor, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Coldwater, Jackson, Adrian, Hillsdale, Monroe, Ann Arbor, Detroit, Macomb County, Pontiac, talking about Weberville, Fowlerville. Trying to think of other names on here. Yes, Howell, Brighton, all within that enhanced risk. But regardless, if we go back to the model here, I will just go ahead and point out that regardless of that enhanced risk, this is a pretty potent looking line that does extend north of that enhanced risk. So I would definitely be on alert if you are in that slight risk area. Just because you are not in the enhanced risk does not mean your threat is, any less significant, so to speak. It's higher probability, yes. But there is still a risk further north. And as we see on the model here, that line does extend pretty much all the way up to the Mount Pleasant area. The reason that the risk is highest further south and doesn't really exist further north is because the instability gradient, popping back over here, the instability is forecasted to kind of stop right around that Ithaca, Clare, Tri-City area. So that's what's going to fuel these storms. Anything north of there is going to be more so a hail and wind threat. Anything south there will be more significant. All right. Hopefully that makes some sense. But if you live anywhere basically south of Mount Pleasant today, I would be on high alert as these storms push across the state. I would expect there to be widespread severe warnings and likely going to have a watch issued by the early to mid-afternoon time frame. So be on alert. SPC will change and tweak this update at 12:30 p.m. So perhaps another update coming from the SPC. And again, it'll be updated at 4 o'clock, but at that point, storms will likely be ongoing across the state. So 12:30 p.m. is the final update. I know Joel is hard at work here, working on our maps. So we'll have those posted ASAP, giving you guys our thoughts. If you live anywhere within the yellow or orange zone on this map, there is a risk for all hazards. Okay. All hazards meaning wind is your primary concern, no matter where you're at in the state today. Wind is your primary concern. Large hail is your second concern. And then tornadoes, especially for the orange areas, but the risk does go up into the yellow area as well. So all yellow and orange areas would have a risk today for all hazards. And yes, we will be live later today for severe coverage. We are always live. I'm not sure why you guys ask us that. We are always live. We have not missed a warning in our existence yet, and that is not going to stop anytime soon. I will say this, you guys. Yep, I will say this. If you guys are following or watching on Facebook, I would highly suggest hopping over to YouTube. We've had some issues in the past, which should be sorted out now, but we have had issues in the past where we can't connect our software to Facebook. So in the event that happens, we are still live on YouTube as well as Twitter/X and Twitch. Okay. I would highly suggest at least following us on two, if not more of those platforms, because we are live simultaneously on all four. Okay. Again, highly suggest following over on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, search Michigan Storm Chasers, hit that big red subscribe button. It is free to do. It will ensure you will never miss a live stream from us in the event that we have issues with Facebook, which we should have fixed. Crossing our fingers, don't have problems today. But in the event that does happen, YouTube is where we're going to be at, as well as X and Twitch.
Yeah, I have the maps here ready to go. It's gonna be first look on stream. Once I get my I don't have my screen pulled up yet, but I will here in a second.
Yep. Let me know when you got it. I'll take your scene. And I also will, while Joel's doing this, I will also echo.
Sorry.
You're good. I will also make an announcement here, kind of off topic, but I do want to mention we do have a GoFundMe made and posted and pinned to our Facebook page as well as Twitter. We are raising funds to do supply drop-offs for northern Michigan. The ice storm up there is pretty significant. There's over 100,000 people without power, widespread damage. We're going to do our best to get up there. We are going to go up there. We're not going to do our best. We are going to go up there and drop off supplies as well as purchase supplies. So if you want to donate to that cause, the GoFundMe is pinned on our Facebook page. If you guys feel like want to hop out, and also we are taking direct supplies as well. Email Chandler, which is Chandler@MichiganStormChasers.com. That is the email to get a hold of Chandler. Feel free to donate supplies financially if you guys want to help that cause. We'll be deploying up to northern Michigan throughout the upcoming week. So, Joel, you ready? You're muted.
Sorry. Yes, I am ready.
All right. Let's go ahead and take Joel's scene here.
It's my full screen since this is fresh off the press. So straight out of Canva. Am I good?
Yep, you're good. You are live.
Okay. So our severe weather outlook kind of mimics a little bit what SBC went ahead and did, expand the orange. Our orange goes a little bit further north, so it goes right up just south of Saugatuck, right on the edge of Grand Rapids, up towards Edmore, crosses the Alma region, and actually impacts, I think, 2 of 3 of the Tri-Cities there. So Midland's on the left edge of that, and goes all the way into the thumb. Again, this elevated risk will be for... Oh, that's the wrong way. The elevated risk will be for damaging winds. We will flip it over. As you can see here, actually, we expanded the risk north, low risk, all the way up into the Gaylord-Grayling region. You'll see why in a second. We'll go to the tornado risk here real quick. The 3 to 9% chance of a tornado happening within any storm risk has moved north a little bit. Again, that is in the event we can get supercells primarily ahead of the line. But there's also that low-end risk that we do have spin-ups within the line. And we will switch over to our wind risk, which is the one that is, or it's the main reason why we are expanding our enhanced north. We also added our significant probabilities down there, where there is a 10% chance on top of the 25 to 39% chance of a damaging wind gust happening. That 75 mile per hour wind gust will happen. And that is considered a significant damaging wind gust. 15 to 24% chance pretty much up through the central Michigan region. And then we have damaging wind gust probabilities all the way up into the Mackinac Island region. And then, as Ryan mentioned today, we're not going to see too much in terms of hail, but the risk is there just in case there are any supercells out there, especially ahead of the line. So it's a 15 to pretty much 25% chance that it could happen anywhere across southern and central Michigan today. No red elevated risk for that, but it is there as a precursor, or what's the word I'm looking for, Ryan? Safety. You're muted. But yeah, so
I said I'm too tired for this.
Oh, you're good. The main reason why the elevated risk has moved super far north is due to that damaging wind risk. Again, you saw on the model runs here at the beginning of the stream that it would turn into one big line segment by this afternoon, about that really after 3 o'clock time frame, and move all the way across the state. And as Ryan mentioned, just because you are not in the elevated risk does not mean you are at risk. Anywhere you're in a probability for today, you're at risk at in some capacity. So keep that in mind. And these maps will be out on Facebook in a second at some point after the stream is over with. But I figured to give you guys the first look here, just so you guys have the first look and can get prepared for the rest of your day.
The word you're looking for is precursor or precaution.
Precaution, yeah.
Precursor also works, but well, I'm behind on comments. Whoopsies. All right, guys, feel free to ask questions. We'll be live here for probably about 10 or 15 minutes before we hop out of here. We have a lot to do today, so we're not going to spend too much time here. We did go over everything in detail, so if you're just tuning in, go ahead and tune back in about 20 minutes ago to the start of the stream. We break it down, hazards, time frames, risk areas, and Joel just went over the risk areas as well. So Summer asks, what does the helicity look like? I believe she's asking that because we talked yesterday about the helicity, the spin in the atmosphere. If we had enough of it, we could be looking at a couple tornadoes. But looking at the helicity values across the state as of these storms we've been through, we did see a little bit of an uptick here as these storms do move through. I'll go ahead and take my scene back here. There we go. So looking at the helicity values, we are going to see anywhere from 100 to 150 across the risk area as these storms push across the state. So it's not going to be in abundance, but it's kind of borderline just enough, which is why we're mentioning that possibility of a tornado or two within that line. I do think there's enough that we could see a couple spin ups there across that line, but it's not a huge amount that makes us go, wow, this is going to be an outbreak of tornadoes, like nothing like that. But I do think there's potential for one or two or perhaps a couple. Yep, timing, guys. Let's go ahead and go over timing again. I see a lot of you guys just tuning in. We'll go ahead and go back to the radar here and time this out across the state. So we're going to start with the current radar across the area. We're seeing some pop-up showers, some grungy activity. I believe as Joel usually uses the word grungy, grunge fest. It's going to be kind of pop-up popcorn showery out there. As we move toward that noon time frame, some storms arrive on the west part of Michigan. These are not the main threat. The main concern comes later on in the evening. Here we go into the afternoon. Here is 4 p.m., 5 p.m. We're going to see that arrival there, 4 to 5 p.m. in the very far southern and western quarter of Michigan. That will race eastward across the state here at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and then by about 9 to 10 o'clock, they're clearing the state. So wind, primary concern, large hail, secondary concern, and then a couple tornadoes as your third concern. And I will say tornadoes today, if any do occur, should be on the weaker side and more brief side. They shouldn't be long track. They're not going to be, I can't say that for sure, but they shouldn't be strong, EF2 plus. They should be pretty weak. EF0, EF1 type tornadoes that are on the ground for 5 minutes or less. Those type of tornadoes. The hail risk today is on the lower side because as we see here on these line segments, hail has a harder time getting large within these line segments. If we have isolated cells that do pop out ahead, like for example, on the model here, we have some of these cells that are kind of by themselves there toward the Lansing area. Those would have a little bit higher concern for hail. Okay. with the line itself, damaging winds is going to be the primary concern, which is why you're seeing that upgrade from the SPC. And that's why it's highest on our list as well on our outlook. Let's go over a couple things here for those of you who are just tuning in. We have a severe risk today across the state of Michigan. Pop the SPC back out here real quick. So in terms of today, we have some questions I'm seeing in chat here about watches and discussions and stuff being issued, and also about ways to receive warnings. So let's go over everything safety-wise today. So number one, we're probably going to have a watch issued, probably a severe watch, we had to guess, sometime around that, we're going to say noon to 2, 3 o'clock-ish time frame, be my guess. It'll likely encompass a large portion of the yellow and orange areas here. And that watch will likely include probabilities for wind primarily, as well as hail. I will also expect it to mention the possibility of a couple tornadoes. That should be issued early afternoon. As far as discussions go, I would expect a discussion to be issued around that same time, probably 11 o'clock at the earliest, probably going to be closer to that 12 to 1 o'clock time frame. And then as far as ways to receive warnings, EAS alerts on your phones, number one way to get those. An app like the FEMA app or a weather app that does alert. WeatherBug is a good one. Weather Channel, AccuWeather, any app that gives you alerts is going to be a good choice today. And then also, I know it's a little bit late to order one with today's setup, but Midland WR120 weather radios. I know Joel's got one. I got one as well. It's always sitting on my desk there. That is the number one way we're going to tell you to get warnings. If you're at home, you plug it in, put batteries in it, it will alert you. If it's up to your county, it will alert you with a very, very loud tone whenever a warning is issued. So that is your 3 ways to receive warnings. I would also say number one today, be prepared. As I would expect numerous severe warnings to be issued today. Some counties across Michigan will sound their tornado sirens for severe warnings. So do keep that in mind as well. Sirens should be one of your last ways to receive those warnings. I would highly suggest you guys get those alerts from your phone or weather radio first. Don't rely on sirens. They're not meant to be heard inside your house. Is there a chance it weakens as it moves east across the state? So as of right now, no. The instability is forecasted to be the same from the west side to the east side, so it should maintain its strength. It could get a little bit weaker as we get towards sunset. You know, if we get a little bit later, like 9, 10 o'clock, we could see a slight weakening. But generally speaking, no. A weakening trend is not expected as it pushes east. It should be a clear-cut west to east damaging wind event.
I have current satellite looping right now, if you're curious.
All you.
There's actually, I think there's a super chat, a couple of super chats real quick from
I'll scroll back up. Oh, I got it. Hold on.
I got it. You got it?
I have a couple, actually. I have East again, and I also have Philip becoming a member. So thank you, Philip, for an EF1 membership here. Thank you for your support. And then East with another super chat, $5 super chat says, is it possible for the SPC to push the enhanced risk further north? I don't want it at all, but recent trends make it seem possible. I would not say that's out of the realm of possibility, especially as we're seeing that line on models and instability further north. We could see a northward expansion for sure. Although as of right now, with knowing the SPC, I would probably put out like a 30 or 40% chance to do that. I don't see anything else, Joel.
Okay. Yeah, so looking at our current satellite, it's very cloudy throughout the region, which is actually good in terms of preventing severe thunderstorms for the day. It's kind of hard to see, but you do have some surface-based cape there with the purple lines over Illinois. Starting to creep in up to the north. You can see there's a little bit of clearing going on. We will have to watch this sector right here across portions of Illinois and then moving into Indiana actually right now. Dew points already into the mid-60s here, which is a lot of moisture, perhaps a little bit higher than what was already valued on our model runs earlier this morning. Dew points in Michigan right now. Probably very humid outside. I don't know about if you've gone outside yet, Ryan, this morning, but it is dew points in the mid-50s in southern Michigan with temperatures in the 60s, so very humid. And again, we're watching this sector here. see how much clearing we can get. That will increase instability and overall storm development throughout the day, which in turn will cause our damaging wind risk to go significantly higher.
Check the M chat, please. Gave you a little helpful extension there.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. We're going to take my scene back here. Lansing. So these maps here on your screen, the SPC maps, these are probability based, as we are probability based as well. But the SPC directly is a 25-mile point of any location. So, for example, here in Lansing, technically you're in a yellow slight risk, but because it's a probability within a certain point, that enhanced risk then gets extended about 25 miles north this way. So like Hastings would be included, Lansing, Flint, anywhere close to it really. And that's also why you can't really, these are hand-drawn human-made maps. They're not, official, like storms are going to follow this line. No, it's just probability based on, models and stuff like that. So even if you aren't in the highest risk, still take it seriously. So again, if you're close to it, like South Haven, Hastings, Lansing, Flint, Port Huron, you're still close enough that you're in the higher probabilities. And because the SPC is within that 25-mile point, you would technically be included in it. Yes, I want to make an announcement here in chat here. We do have the Michigan State basketball game tonight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not a fan. I don't watch. Sorry.
It starts at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So here is what I'm asking you guys to do, which I don't think anybody from our channel is like this, but please, if there happens to be severe weather and you're watching the game and it gets interrupted on TV, do not go to the meteorologist who's on screen there. Do not go to those news stations to complain. They are doing their job to save your life and your neighbor's life. A basketball game is not as important as getting life-saving information out there. So please do not spam your local news station or meteorologist with hate mail and even death threats. They've gotten those before. Please be respectful. That is a personal pet peeve of mine, and I think it goes to I think it needs to be said. So I just want to put it out there.
If you go back to my screen, actually, real quick, Ryan, there is something that is very eye-popping to me. This actually relates to what's happening up north right now. You can see that our station plots are plotted across the state, except where you go up north, where there's significant power outages going on. There's about 6 or 7 different stations across northeast, lower. Even Cadillac Station appears to be offline as well. So that lack of station available data today probably won't play too much of a factor in terms of the how far north the warm front's going to make, because I think the warm front's only going to get up to about that US 10 corridor. But it is data that is missing today, so we'll have to keep that in mind. Again, widespread power outages going on across the Northeast. For those who are just tuning in, a huge ice storm has hit, back-to-back ice storms this weekend, Friday, and then obviously today. So they've been getting hit hard up there. And as Ryan mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, we are doing a GoFundMe for our friends to the north, so feel free to check that out on our Facebook page. But yeah, missing data out there today. We'll have to see how that comes into play for later on our map.
Also want to point out there's 147, almost 148,000 people without power. That is a significant number here in the state, and they're all centered up there, as Joel just mentioned, where that missing data is, those really dark red counties. Some of these counties actually are reporting almost the entire counties out. Ascota, Montmorency, Otsego, Alpena, Emmett, all those counties are at or above 85 or 90%. So this is a significant icing event for the home state here. We are going to mobilize and organize relief efforts. So again, that GoFundMe is pinned on our page. In fact, I'm going to go find it right now. Joe, I'm going to take your screen back here if you want to just talk about pretty clouds out there. I'm going to pop open the GoFundMe and drop it into chat here for those in chat who would like to donate.
Yeah, we do not have data at the National Research Gaylord office too. Otsego County, I believe, is one of the counties that's over 90% without power. Pretty much that entire I-75 corridor north of Grayling is without power right now, all the way up to the bridge. So it's quite the widespread event up there. Again, some locations have seen close to, if not over an inch of ice probably from both systems so far, or will be shortly. So keep that in mind. I know some of you in here probably remember the ice storm of 2023. Basically like that, but double what happened. Yeah, Zaire, we did mention that. Michigan State game is on today. There's also the Pistons game tonight as well, which is at 7. Not sure if that's actually a home game or an away game for Detroit, but either way, it's going to be on TV. So, again, another game. However, because that's on FanDuel Sports, I don't think that's going to get interrupted. It's mainly the Michigan State game, which is going to be on CBS. And again, CBS does cut in for severe weather coverage. So do not give your local broadcast meteorologist a hard time. Because of that, they are saving your lives. And just because it's not happening in your neck of the woods doesn't mean it's happening down the street from you. So but what you're looking at right now on your screen is a map of the station plots, so the radar data at the surface, as well as cloud cover, and I also overlaid some of the surface space cape, which is our instability moving in from the south. You can see those purple lines. I don't have the tool yet that Ryan sent me, but there's some purple lines starting to creep in, some surface space cape as early as 10 a.m. here. So some of the clouds starting to filter in, or filter out, I should say, for more of that sunshine. Brittany with a 199 super chat asking, any concerns for severe after the line moves through? Not really. No, once the cold front moves through, there could be some residual cape left over, but it'll be values of like maybe 100, 200. Again, we need about 1,000 joules of cape for severe to happen, really anything over that. And we don't expect, once that big squall line kind of moves through this evening, for severe alert to develop. So good question, but it should be, once that line moves through, it should be good.
Okay, so I see some people confused about time frames and such. So I said earlier that we could see a severe watch or a mesoscale discussion issued around that 11, 12, 1 p.m. time frame. The severe weather concern ramps up 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, we could see some thunderstorms develop early around that noon time frame, but those shouldn't be of significance. Wouldn't shock me if one became severe, but the main concern, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Watches are issued in advance as well as discussions. So that's why I said we could get a watch issued as early as that noon time frame, but I do believe it'll be probably early afternoon before we get one.
NAM 3K just came in.
I'll take a peek at it. I'll take your
pretty
screen
much
back.
The exact same thing as the HRRR.
There you go. Perfect. Your screen is live. I was gonna look at it here too.
Hold on, let me go over to Weather Bell here.
I got it pulled up now if you want me to. Oh, you got it. Cool.
Am I live?
Yeah, you're live.
Perfect. So this is pretty much the exact same thing as the HRRR run. Pretty hand in hand. It's like twins here. So you can see right about that 4 to 5 o'clock time frame, it is moving into Southwest Michigan. That 5 to 6 time frame, it's moving into the Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Coldwater area. 6 to 7. I've noticed the NAM kind of runs a little bit behind, but preliminary right now, 6 to 7 o'clock, moving into the Lansing area. That is quite the Boeing segment. We could see a MCV on the north. This has the MCV look to it, so a mesoscale, convective vortice. So that's basically a bookend, I don't know, sort of thing that happens there. And that's gonna be right on that boundary for that warm front. So again, that warm front acts as an added thing of lift. Sorry, I can't English this morning. I literally rolled out of bed and started this today. But this moves on into the Flint area by around 8 o'clock. And then it kind of actually breaks up on the NAM here by 9 o'clock as it gets into Detroit and the Thumb. And then 10 o'clock, as we mentioned, pretty much all the way out of Michigan. And as you can see, no severe weather expected behind this line once it moves through. So NAM and HRRR are pretty much in agreement here that we'll have some sort of linear segment move through the state today. And again, this is the HRRR here. This is the 13Z, which is the next one that just came out, and it's the same picture.
I have a couple super chats I want to get to here, Joel. I got a $5 super chat from the Mirestone Ranch. Is there any value to looking at the hodograph data, or is that only when you're closer to the event? So we can look at hodograph data. And right now, Joel, I'll let Joel pull that up. I'll take my screen back if you want to pull up a hodograph, Joel. A little more technical. Yeah, a little bit more technical and advanced there. But yeah, we can look at photographs here, but it's also good to look at them in real time as well. We can get a good idea of forecasted, but we can really get the better idea. We kind of overlap that on our mesoanalysis page. So latest 13Z HRRR coming in here. And basically, as Joel said, same exact depiction here of that line moving through the western part of Michigan here. Same time frame, same locations, nothing changed there with the latest model run. So thank you, Mirestone Ranch, for that. Also, we have a super chat here from, I'm going to find it again, Red Dozer. Morning, guys. Nice to see I'm not in the enhanced. I know that doesn't really mean I'm free and clear, but potentially nasty weather. So I'm glad you're all here. Thank you, Red, for that super chat. And yes, I would still be on alert regardless of any enhanced versus slight risk or marginal risk. You ready, Joe?
Yep, I have them pulled up.
So hodograph. Sorry. Go
ahead. This is going to be from Southeast Michigan area, so I pulled it from pretty much over Ryan's house just because, here and you can look at it too. This is off of the 12Z HRRR from this morning. The hodograph is going to be a crash course in what we look at behind the scenes. It's basically a slice of the atmosphere. So right here's your hodograph on the top right. It's your top-down view of everything. It's the spin in the atmosphere, or the wind shear, I guess, in the atmosphere as you go up. So we look at this pretty line right here. Kind of looks like a slinky. And at the surface, that is your surface winds right there where the line starts. Right where it says 0. And because that is on the north side of this axis, so this north line here, that means winds are blowing to the north, and then it's in between that 10 to 20. So it's about 15 knots blowing to the north. So it's pretty decent wind shear at the surface. And then you can see that line quickly as it gets up to 1 kilometer up, goes to about 40 to 45 knots. And there's a little bit of turning. So the wind goes from north to blowing towards the northeast. And then it's not the best sounding for the day, which is why we're saying that there's not going to be a great tornado threat because there's not too much turning with height. But you can see the line kind of slightly turns off to the right once you get to that 1 to 2 and even to 3 kilometer range. So there's a lot of low level shear out there today, which would be inducive of some QLCS spin-ups, but really nothing greater than that. Perhaps if there's a supercell, it could latch and produce a tornadic supercell, but it's more likely than not we'll see QLCS, which is basically embedded tornadoes within our linear segment. And then on the left side here, we look at this as a 2D slice. So if you look straight across the atmosphere in front of you, that's from ground up. Our temperature line is in red. Our dew point line is in green. Down here at the surface where the reds and greens are very close together. I say reds and greens close together a lot. I realize that when we're talking about velocity radar, but we're not talking about velocity radar. We're talking about a SKU-T here. Reds and greens, dew point, temperature, really close together. Very humid atmosphere down here at the surface. And then anywhere between this dashed white line and this red line is your cape. So the wider the spacing between this dashed line here and this red line, the more cape we have available. And as you can see, the number down here shows 1687 surface-based cape, so that is over that 1,000 threshold we mentioned earlier in the stream for some severe weather today. And there's no capping inversion either. We would look for a warm nose, so this red line would have to jag slightly to the right somewhere down here at the low levels, and we just do not see that today. We can also look at the number for our capping inversion. It's -6. Capping inversion, any moderate to strong capping inversion would really be about that -30, -40, -50. And so a very, very, very weak cap out there today, and these storms will blossom and take off, especially as we get to the east side of the state throughout the day today, as the sounding suggests. So there's your crash course in photographs and QTs. All this mumbo jumbo at the bottom is stuff that we decipher, such as energy helicity or storm relative helicity. I just realized you took my screen off, didn't you?
It's back now.
Okay. Our storm relative helicity, which we said that number has to be above 150 for a good chance of tornadoes. It's right around that 150 mark at the low levels. So, again, something we'll have to keep in mind. So, again, shear, lift, instability, moisture, all available today. But the S component, the shear component, is a little on the weak side. So, tornadoes today will not be too significant if they do happen. That's all I got.
We'll like to point out our spotlight sponsor while we have a chance. Echo. Go. Perfect. We have McKay Tree Specialist as our spotlight sponsor today for our streams and on our graphics. McKay is based in Southeast Michigan for all your tree needs. They cover primarily east of US 127 and south of I-69, so like the Ann Arbor, Jackson, Adrian, Detroit areas, all the way up to about the Flint, Lansing areas. McKay Tree Specialists, thank you for being our spotlight sponsor. Sponsors keep us operational here at MSC. We cannot do it without them. It benefits us and also benefits you if you have damage from today's storms in the southeast Michigan area. Feel free to give McKay Tree Specialists a call, 248-308-7308. There, numbers on your screen on the left side there. I'd like to say thank you to McKay for being today's spotlight sponsor.
There is a couple more comments in here asking about when we'll be back live today. So if you haven't already, I know we haven't said this yet, but if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to type in !notify, no spaces, so just straight ! lowercase notify. That is a good way to get notifications. I'm assuming they're still working, right, Ryan?
Good question. We had to turn the chat bot off on Facebook, so it's worth a shot. I don't know if it's going to actually work or not. You're welcome to try.
Okay. Well, in that case, if it doesn't work, then again, as Ryan mentioned at the middle part of our stream here, best way to receive alerts when we go live, again, is going to be following us or subscribing to us on YouTube, which again is completely free to do as long as you have an account, or following us on Twitch, which I always sneakily kind of throw in there because Twitch has the shortest stream delay. So when seconds count, that 5-second stream delay versus watching it on YouTube, Facebook, where there's a 20 to 30-second delay, it makes all the difference when you're trying to go take shelter. So Twitch and YouTube both give you notifications. You don't have to go through the ! notify thing. So we highly recommend, again, having multiple ways to watch our streams today if you haven't followed us on multiple locations yet. Again, we will be live to answer the question directly. We will be live again as soon as the first severe thunderstorm warning is issued, and we will stay live until the storms pretty much leave the state, because even if there is a gap where there's no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, we will probably expect more to be issued down the road. So we won't cut our streaming when the alerts completely go away. So keep that in mind. We'll be live pretty much throughout the afternoon and evening today. So muted. Ryan, you're muted. I still can't hear you. I hope it's not on my end. Correct. There's really not much of a cap today. I saw that comment. The timing map has not changed much, no. Am I deaf? It is on your end? Okay. Well, Ryan's trying to fix his mic. A good question that just also rolled in here from Casey on YouTube. Do you guys send out warnings and alerts? We do. They automatically post as soon as they're issued on two of our accounts. So we have Facebook, obviously, which is not the greatest timing because sometimes they don't show up in your feed right away. We also have an X account, which is really good for chronological order. So if you want to use our X account specifically for weather alerts, you can. We are at MI Storm Chasers over there. Turn on post notifications, and again, they will come across your screen anytime they are issued. The alerts on X, they kind of just give you a basic alert. They're not like super loud or anything, but they're there in case you want to use the alerts that way and not worry about having your alerts out of chronological order. Again, Facebook does not send post notifications for when we post actual posts on Facebook. So X is the only way we give you actual live alerts from ourselves to you, or Twitter, whatever you call it. Yes, we do have a timing map out, TIMING. It came out last night around 9:30, so feel free to scroll back through all the ice storm posts.
Test 1, 2.
There we go. We hear you now.
Keep rolling. I'm gonna try something real quick.
Okay. And if you're brand new here at Michigan Storm Chasers, our policy is beginning to end coverage. So anytime there's a severe warning, we will be live. In 2024, we were live for every single severe thunderstorm and tornado warning. And so far in 2025, which hasn't been much, we've been live for every single one as well. No matter where it happens in the state, we got you covered. So even if you're all the way in the far corner of the UP or extreme southwest Michigan, you name it. Even Isle Royale National Park, we did that once or twice last year as well, even though there's only campers up there without any cell service. Still cover it. Yeah, if the exclamation point notify is not working or is not responding to you on Facebook, then that means it's not going to be able to give you notifications for when we go live. So again, you'll want to follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitch. And those links are available. I did post them on Facebook in this stream, so you'll have to go find them. Unless Hadley, I think, is in here. If Hadley wants to post the links to our Twitch and YouTube, that'd be awesome. We do have a Blue Sky account as well. But we do not really post on it because of some of the limitations of that platform in terms of character limits and such. Hello.
I believe we fixed it, or at least I fixed it on my end. It may have been a faulty plug that was loose. It kept on disconnecting, so I changed my plug. So we'll see if it holds. Apologies about that.
We do have TikTok at MI Storm Chasers. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
Nope, you're all good.
Oh, we can't. The mods can't post links on Facebook. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Facebook is quite restricting in how much control we have over the platform, unfortunately, in many ways. So,
all the more reason to watch on anything but. We'll still be on Facebook, obviously, but it's very not user-friendly. You have to kind of go through a bunch of steps to get things to work, essentially.
Yeah, it's not it's not creator-friendly either. All right. Well, I believe we're going to wrap things up here momentarily. We'll take it until 10:30 on the 8 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I'll go ahead and give a very brief overview of what to expect today, just for those of you still watching, tuning in. So, number one, we have a enhanced risk now that butts up to the 96 corridor from not really up to 96, but close to it. From about Port Huron back through about Lansing, back through Kalamazoo, Benton Harbor areas, point southward. That's your highest probability for seeing severe weather today. In the yellow zone is kind of like that medium, like a little bit lower, but still a decent threat risk today. That goes up to about Mount Pleasant, Tri-Cities through the Thumb, and further north in dark green areas from Ludington to Cadillac to Tawas City. You guys have the lowest threat today. Damaging winds, number one concern here, especially across these red areas. We do have a 45% probability just off to the south here across Indiana. So a very potent wind event is expected today across the region. But that risk does extend all the way up to about Roscommon, again, for damaging winds. Large hail as well, same exact areas, but a little bit lower in terms of the risks. And then also a tornado or two cannot be ruled out across the state, especially for the bottom tier counties where we could have a little bit better ingredient overlap for tornadoes. I will also go over the timing here one more time. The HRRR, we could have some showers and storms as early as noon. Those should not become a big concern. The main issue will come in later in the afternoon here, as we see here on the model here at 5 p.m. It starts to arrive between 4 and 5 p.m. That'll push eastward across Michigan. Here is 6 p.m. Here is 7 p.m. Here is 8 p.m. And by about 9 o'clock is clearing the state into Ontario and into Ohio. So 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. is your main concern time frame. We could have some storms go up as early as noon, but the main show will be between that 3 p.m. 10 p.m. time frame. And again, hazards in order from most concerning to least concerning: damaging winds, large hail, and a couple spin up tornadoes. All right, we'll be live later on this afternoon, evening for severe coverage. Joel has you covered. I'll be most likely out in the field chasing. So with that being said, we'll have updates on the page.
I'll be here.
Yep. We got you guys covered. So with that being said, we are going to wrap things up. One last look at the comments. Make sure you didn't miss anything of concern. I do expect our forecast maps we went over earlier in the stream to be posted with a little bit of a detailed discussion there from Joel. That'll be coming out probably before noon. Joel, that goes to our members on Patreon first, please. And then we'll be good to go. So with that being said, we're going to pop out of here, and I will give a shout out to our sponsors. One more time here, we have the spotlight of McKay Tree Specialist out of Southeast Michigan. They are the spotlight on our graphics and on our streams today. But we also have numerous other sponsors from StormGuard out of Detroit Metro, Pro Powder from the South Haven area, Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding out of the Thumb. We also have McKay there in Southeast Michigan. We have Lifestyle Exteriors based out of the Lansing area, Kuiper Tree Care based out of the Grand Rapids area, Katz Roofing and Siding based out of the Potterville area, Gull Lake Tree Pro based out of Kalamazoo. We also have Gargin, sponsor of our Skycams for security audio needs based out of Burton, On Top Roofing based in Livingston County, and then Henkel's Tree Care based in St. Joseph County. All these sponsors here help us keep operations rocking and rolling, and we couldn't do what we do without them and their support. So it benefits us. It also benefits you. If you guys happen to need their services from today's storms, you can get in touch with us. We can send you in one of these sponsors' directions for assistance with roofing, siding, or perhaps tree needs, as well as powder coating, as well as security audio video if you need it. With that being said, I think we're going to pop out of here. So we'll catch you guys later. We'll be live for any warnings: Facebook, YouTube, X, and Twitch. You guys enjoy your day. Joel, anything you want to say before I hit the outro?
I don't believe so, other than if you're just tuning in, make sure to go back, rewind the stream. You can watch from the beginning once we do end the stream here. So if you did miss any information, it's all there back at the beginning of the stream. If you can't find it on Facebook, it'll be on YouTube. YouTube's the best way to go find our archived stuff. And as always, as we mentioned multiple times throughout the stream, make sure you're following us on multiple platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, even X. We are live on all of those platforms for severe weather coverage today when we do go live for severe weather. So again, thanks for following along, and we will catch you guys here this afternoon. I myself will be in the studio, so I'll see you guys very soon.
All right, you guys stay safe out there. We'll catch you guys later.
Yes, stay safe.